For your halftime entertainment, we celebrate the 43-year reign of the Speed Metal Kings, Metallica. With 9 Grammy Awards and 14 nominations, 38 concert tours worldwide, and 11 studio albums that span 4 decades, the Titans of Thrash remain the standard by which all other metal is measured. We begin with a 1984 classic from their second album, For Whom the Bell Tolls, followed by the 1992 tour anthem, Wherever I May Roam. And then, let's turn down the house and light up the stage for the Auburn University Marching Band and their show, Metallica.
Sunday evening is here once again, so that means it's time for another live recording of the Auburn Experience podcast, episode 152, coming your way. As always, we'll catch you up on the latest Auburn news and Auburn potpourri with 2 major topics, and one of them is very big for football. Let's get into all those different things right now. David Housel described it best. We are living the whole of the Auburn experience. You can quantify it, you can qualify it through a variety of methods, time, people, places, and things. But at its heart and at its core, the Auburn experience to us is all about Auburn sports, Auburn culture, and then Auburn family stuff. An easier way to say it, though, if it's orange and blue, it is what we do. So thank you so much for joining us in what we're going to be doing today, episode 152 of the Auburn Experience podcast. As always, I'm your host, Kyle Loomis. Still remind you it didn't have to be this way. Sorry, I had to get that one in quick tonight. But alongside me, probably not going to repeat that phrase because I need to let that one go, Mr. Austin Scott. Good to see you, sir.
Good to see you, sir. War Eagle. Got to see you in person yesterday, which is always a good time. And yeah, hope everybody's doing well tonight on the last day of November.
Last day of November. The season's completed for football. Big implications, big storylines for that. I know that's what people want us to immediately jump into. We will get there, folks, but you're going to have to hold on. This is the Auburn Experience, after all. We try to do a little bit of everything here. But yes, we will be covering Alex Golesh, as we are learning to pronounce it, to do that properly. The implications for that for Auburn football. We'll take a look at Auburn basketball in the Players Era Tournament and anything else that we just feel like getting into tonight. I'm glad you brought up, though, that we saw each other, because I just got to give you a little credit to you putting your 2 boys in those awesome little jumps, overalls, essentially, the little blue and striped for the Iron Bowl. I thought it was like the perfect little get up for them. Saw you guys at the band warm-ups or band practice in the morning, and so I thought, well, that's just what I need to get my Auburn day started off on a good note. So the boys were just like had me raring to go that early in the morning.
Yeah, no, absolutely. They my sister got them those for Christmas last year. Got them a little big so that we can grow into them, and they broke them out for the first time yesterday, like you said, for Iron Bowl Saturday. Perfect, good stripes blended in, and able to layer them up some underneath to keep them warm, but they blended right on in, and I think there's definitely some room for maybe 1 or 2 more seasons in those. So it'll be good. They loved them. That band practice in the mornings has become one of our favorite times of the season. The boys absolutely love it, and I feel like, not to be a little boastful, but I think the kids and the majorettes enjoy seeing them out there marching too. We see lots of cute little smiles. They don't see the bags under our eyes from what it takes to get them there, but it was a really good time, and it was good to see you. And I wish we could have stayed for the whole rehearsal, because I know it was senior day for them as well, the last for many of the band members, and so. I just want to tell Dr. Sperlin, if he ever sees this, and all those band members, I just love that you open that up to the public. And it is such an insightful thing for us. My brother was in town and got to go with us, and that he had never seen something like this. And so he was having all the kind of things like, oh my gosh, he's calling him out by name. I'm like, he's a no business kind of guy. But it's very, very cool to see the inner workings of what the Auburn University Marching Band goes through each Saturday, and that's just a glimpse of what they do all week long, and the preparation and everything. So, man, that's been such a joy for us this year.
No, I'm glad you brought that up because I think it's one of the underappreciated and maybe not even aware of items that you can add to your game day. I think it's best done on a night game because they do it a little bit earlier for the early
Right.
games, and that's even earlier. You got to get out there. But I've developed this great routine of these different points that we want to hit for y'all on social media on game days that just works perfectly to go over there, especially for afternoon and evening games, to hit that about 9 o'clock right when they start. You get the inner workings. You can see them correcting this element and how much precision goes into this. And obviously elements of their halftime show that they're practicing as well. And then special things like, I guess, honoring the seniors. Did they do?
Mhm.
I left after that, and I wish or before that, I guess. And I wish I'd stayed for some of that. But I would highly recommend, if you're an Auburn person and you have never witnessed the practice in the morning, definitely go out and check it out, because apparently it's going to be like a thing now for Austin and the family. Because
Yeah, I have a feeling we will be there many times next year. I think we made it to 3 this year, so 3 of 7 home games. Yeah, we'll be out there.
see, I feel like this is cutting into our time of running into each other at Chick-fil-A in the mornings though now, because it used to happen like every single day, every single time. And now it's kind of like I'm there and there's the Scots aren't there. I don't know what's going on.
Our morning walks, our morning routine has changed. We don't get out on our walks as much as we go see the band. So it's not as active for Emily and I, but the boys get their steps and marches in, and
Yeah.
you know what? Whatever wears them out.
That's really the motto of it at this point.
Absolutely.
Speaking of breakfast, if I can like transition.
Oh yeah, please.
You know what I'm doing.
I do. I'm still jealous.
So speaking of like game day traditions, things like that, I just for right out front do Chick-fil-A a ton because it's simple, it's easy, it's on my pathway of where I'm normally creating content for you guys on the game days, which sadly are over for the season. But I have had the opportunity twice now to do Mama G's breakfast. First time was great. Second time was even better, because the first time I got the chicken biscuit. I mean, I feel like if you're going to be a breakfast place in the South, that's what you got to have. You got to check that out first, make sure it's up to standards, good stuff there. And there's plenty of other things. I heard great things about the breakfast bowls there as well.
Mhm.
Did not do that this time. Here's what it did, Austin. Pro tip for everybody out there, whether you like a little heat or not with it. They have a chicken and waffle sandwich. Yes, it's exactly what it sounds like. It is a chicken sandwich, but waffles are your breading.
Yep.
And then they give you a little bit of this hot honey. Now, I wasn't sure, Austin, if I was supposed to drizzle it on there and then cut with a fork. I kind of started that way. If I was supposed to like dip it in there, the cup's a little, or ramekin, whatever you call it, is a little bit small.
Ramekin, look at you.
Yeah, I think that's what they're the little dishes, but it's like
Sure,
I don't know if
go
you call
for
it.
it.
Anyway, now we're debating what we call dishes on the
I'm
Auburn
not debating. I'm
Experience,
impressed.
or discussing what this is. But I don't know if you're supposed to like dip it in there or whatever. I just kind of did a combination of everything. Hey, it got a little heat to it, man. And I liked it, especially in the morning. It kind of got me going a little bit more than your traditional chicken and waffle or chicken and biscuit sandwich. And those are still good everywhere you get them. But hey, I'm adding that to the repertoire, and I can't wait to like come back next year. Assuming everything's still going to be the same there at Mama G's. The chicken and waffle sandwich, Austin. You got to try it.
I know I do, because you called me about it after I'd already seen you and told me how fantastic it was. So, yeah, that hot honey kind of stuff is right up my alley. And I think I'm with you. I'd like to try drizzling it first. I feel like you dip it, you could be, inhaling a good bit quickly. But that sounds really good. I love Mama G's, and we've all seen what the original looks like. So, you have a certain understanding of what you're walking into, but that sounds pretty fancy for Mama G's, if I'm being honest. And I like it.
It was kind of like, what did we upscale here? Like a little bit. I mean, like, it was nice. So they got a great breakfast menu, and this is free advertisement for you guys, just by the way. You're welcome. But I just
feel free to send us a few. Maybe we'll live review them on air.
I'd be happy. We will do a show while eating the hot honey chicken and waffle sandwich, and watch us just kind of like we got to slow down a little bit. Definitely make sure you got water or something with it. I'm someone who loves spicy stuff, so like even if I'm not saying I'm like good at handling the spicy stuff, I just like it. So there's a little bit of heat. Really good taste. Check it out. It's another good thing for you to add anytime, but definitely on Auburn game day when we get back to the 2026 season. So let's get into potpourri stuff. We've got a few things that we want to tackle here that are going to be a little outside some of the major scope of things that you all are wanting us to discuss. We're going to get there. Hold your horses. But let's start, Austin, with another Auburn sports program that doesn't get talked about enough. But I hope as we have moved out of football season that you all will start thinking about some of these things that you can attend. And there are very few opportunities to see this particular program on campus in actual competition. 2 times coming up here. That'd be, but not just cross country, but that's already happened. Track and field has an indoor and an outdoor season. Now, we don't have any indoor meets here because we don't have an indoor facility. We will have a discussion one day about my suggestion that I say should happen for that, what a certain building should turn into, so we can
I'm not familiar with this. I'm looking forward
just
to
think
that.
about where the Hudson Rosen track is,
actually.
and think
Okay,
about
I'm thinking.
think about a certain indoor facility that's not too far away that kind of would make sense to be in the vicinity of where they already all located. Are you with me now?
Sort of.
No. Sort of.
No.
The old football practice indoor facility, which has a multi-purpose use to it anyway right now, I think would be a good one.
Sure.
But
sure.
We can debate that and what that's.
Thought you were going to say the Coliseum.
I think there are bigger things to be tackling with the Coliseum that we kind of discussed that are related to Haley Center last
Probably
week,
don't need runners' lungs inhaling what's in the Coliseum.
A lot of breathing going on during running competitions, I don't know. Anyway, we'll leave that at that.
I look forward to that.
Yes. So you've got indoor and outdoor season coming up. Indoor, you won't have anything in Auburn, but there are 2 meets in Birmingham. There are 2 in South Carolina, 1 in Boston, Massachusetts, if you want to venture up there in January. College Station will be hosting the SEC Championships. Fayetteville, Arkansas, where it basically always is, at least for the SEC Championships or the National Championships for indoor. They're a big track and field program, if you didn't know that, in February. So basically, indoor goes from December 5th and 6th, believe it or not, starting this week. It looks next week, and then running until the middle of February. So that's really what you kind of need to know there. Be looking for January 9th and 17th. If you're in the Birmingham area, you can go out and support the Auburn Tigers in the Birmingham.
Where was that again? In Birmingham?
UAB on January 9th, and then Sanford, which is, obviously another big program there. Check them out at the Sanford. Yep, exactly where it'll be for indoor. Now, outdoor is the important one. I think they're both important, but for Auburn people coming to Auburn in the spring, especially with some of these other events, haven't compared with other schedules to see how this lines up.
Yeah, we got to do that after Christmas, probably. We do.
We're a little bit behind on those type of things, but certainly we need to do that. You have an outdoor season that goes in this order to these locations: Atlanta, Georgia; Gainesville, Florida; Winston-Salem, North Carolina; Gainesville, Florida. And then finally on April 25th, coming back to the Tiger Track Classic, Auburn, Alabama, to a brand new renovated Hudson Rosen track. And I think it's mainly just the track, the competition service, but I haven't seen it myself. So I don't know if there's been a little bit more of other sprucing up of facilities. I would assume so. Sure. I think Coach Burrell has probably warranted, based off what he's produced thus far, a little bit of investment in those facilities. So it'll be a good opportunity for Auburn people in Austin to go and see the new changes and maybe get a little familiar with a little track and field. You should do that if you haven't.
Yeah, well, and it's a nice facility out there already. As far as I'm aware, and I think we talked about when it was announced, the upgrades were kind of like not cosmetic things, but maintenance and things, just making sure things are up to speed. But it's a nice facility, easy to watch from, like a really tall. It's kind of, you don't really even have to walk up. You walk down. Yeah. So you can stay at the top and see everything you want to see. And it's kind of tucked away back there where it's hidden. So you feel like that's all you got to really watch, but it's not. It's hidden from the rest of the campus, so you might have a little bit hard time finding out there, but well worth it to make the trek and find something special to do. I would be surprised if, well, like you said, we haven't dived too much into
that was tough.
I'm in the College of Education. I'll learn. We haven't gotten too far into what other things are around that weekend. Yeah. I'd be surprised though if Auburn has not tried to make sure that's a weekend. There's other things in town, make it something you can hit as part of your weekend. So be on the lookout for that.
Even if it's not for that weekend, you have one more opportunity, because after that Tiger Track Classic, they'll go to Georgia and play in Athens, then SEC Championship. So the best of the best, you're going to have those major, that well-known track and field programs like Arkansas are going to be here as well, competing for that, while Auburn is hosting on the Hutzel Rosen track facility. Be there, and then you'll have NCAA preliminaries out in Lexington, and then, of course, out in Eugene, Oregon, where it always is for the outdoor. And the United States stuff happens as well. So that's your indoor and outdoor track and field schedules. Try to incorporate that into any time that you're coming to Auburn with the few opportunities you have, or if you're in the different vicinities of the Southeast where they're going to be, there's your opportunities to see them. Switch gears just a little bit to obviously in the Auburn Experience, or the Auburn culture realm. You and I have been talking about all of the opportunities that were going to be coming, or at least that were announced, with Neville Arena and Jordan-Hare Stadium being utilized now more than just for sports, but for other forms of entertainment. We have seen Neville Arena be utilized in the past already with some concerts, even more recently with Riley Green, who did that this past weekend, who's got some strong Auburn ties. It sounds like his concert went off pretty well from the sound of it, and then had a good response from what I heard, at least. I don't know if you heard anything different as a resident.
Yeah. So, well, traffic was insane
Yes.
on Friday afternoon into Saturday morning. But I think a lot of Friday afternoon was, of course, people coming to town. But Friday around town afternoon was just absolutely absurd as well. From the pictures I saw, concert was absolutely packed out, floor to all the seats. So really cool. Saw a lot of people I knew that were there. And it sounds like it went off really well. And I think Riley, like you said, is a pretty proud Auburn fan. And so enjoyed being able to kind of be one of the first to open it up into this new era.
Felt very appropriate. Brought some, celebrities out on stage and had some fun up there too. So it's one of those things that I think Auburn continues to represent itself well, and not just how fans show up and show out just for stuff that's in Auburn, but for those that have some Auburn ties to them, like Riley Green as well. Which brings us to another opportunity that's been announced for those of you that want to check it out. This one's a long time to go, basically almost a year, maybe 10 months, October really of next season, which is going to be weird, Austin. In the middle of football season, there is going to be action in the stadium. So I bet some people are going to get confused with what's happening, or at least
I'm going to bet that's our bye week.
That's a great point. See, this is what you get here. We start thinking about these things, Tom, and we don't realize we just figured out.
It doesn't have to be, I guess. It could be an away game.
I feel like, basically, here's what there's not going to be a home football game.
It won't be a home game, or it'll be very crowded.
For the new head coach and everybody else that you've already figured out something for the schedule at the very least. Zach Bryan coming to Jordan-Hare Stadium on October 10th, and it will be part of his With Heaven On tour, which is going across the United States, Europe, and it's going to have a finale. The finale.
I was about to say, he's ending it.
That's wild that we are like the thing that ends the tour. That's some pretty good marketing, and the team that signed this deal to bring all these events here to be the ending of someone's tour that's going around the world in Jordan-Hare Stadium. That's a pretty cool, unique opportunity. I'll be honest, I'm not the biggest familiar person with Zach Bryan, but anytime that someone chooses to end at your facility, Auburn folks got to show up and show out for this.
Yeah, it's a big – I was talking about that with my brother too this weekend. It's a big deal to be the last show. The artist and his group tend to kind of give it all they got. They got one more to go on, and things start, to hit home, and it looks like you're going to just, give it all you got. And so pretty cool that it's the ending. I'm familiar with Zach Bryan, and I listen to some of his music like on road trips and things like that. I wouldn't call myself an avid listener. He won't show up on my Spotify Wrapped or anything like that. But I think from what I remember, I think he played Michigan Stadium, the Big House, and it sold out. And it was the first artist to sell out the Big House. And, that's like 120,000 people or something like that. So I have no doubt if he's coming down south, he'll do just fine in Jordan-Hare Stadium. I know there's a lot of people excited about that, and this is one that I've heard Athletic Director John Cohen kind of tease for a while. There's a big one coming up, and there's a big artist we're ready to announce for Jordan Hare, and big it was. So that's going to be really exciting. I'm sure ticket info is out there. I would not suspect it would be cheap, but the good news is it's not cheap, and it'll go to On to Victory and to support Auburn NIL efforts. So I'm okay if it's not cheap.
And can I put this angle for those of you that are disappointed with one less time to see Jordan Hare this season because of a game being moved to Atlanta? This is your opportunity to go. I'm just saying, I know it still costs money, something different. It's not football, but if you're missing that one extra time being in Jordan Hare Stadium, this is what you could do.
And if you don't think that an event like that brings people to town and boosts the revenue of the city that was lost by moving the Baylor game, I'm not saying we're all still in agreement or that move was still okay in the grand scheme.
Sure.
But I think that this athletic department made sure that there was a way to somewhat try to rectify the situation by bringing in something like this, because this will be fine. This, like, as far as local businesses and their businesses that go, this helps that situation immensely.
Yeah. And we're expecting some big things out of it. So a cool announcement to help you in the, Auburn culture status of things. So check that out for coming out in October in the middle of the football season. We'll get more information, I'm sure, when that does come around a little bit closer. And finally, we will talk about some other basketball stuff later on, but I do want to give the ladies some time here. They have wrapped up a very successful start to non-conference play. And when I say wrapped up, because a undefeated streak has ended. But let's celebrate it first. 8-0 for like the first time since 2006, I think is what we said, which should be Nell Fortner and Dewana Bonner, Allie Smalley, all of them, if I'm not mistaken, Austin. Maybe I've got my years off just a little bit there, but that kind of start hasn't happened basically since those types of names at least have been nearby. So that's an incredible start for Coach Larry Vickers and the women's basketball team. They did just lose to Oregon in a close one in Auburn. It looked like there was a great crowd there. So I think, the Larry Vickers era has gotten off to a pretty decent start. I think they still got a little bit left in the non-conference. SEC is going to be challenging as it is, but for first-year head coach Larry Vickers, that was a pretty cool way to go, 8-0 at least until they ran into Oregon. Yeah,
no, absolutely. And I was double checking to make sure I understood exactly. It was 2008, the 2008 to 2009 season. And I cannot confirm that was the coaching, but I believe that would be Coach Nell Fortner, right?
I am pretty sure I've got the names and I know I've got the coach correct. Well, at least I'm pretty sure the names. I think that was about the time when that happened, because when I interviewed Andy Burcham, we talked about his history of what he's all been a part of. We were talking about being there for that Auburn Tennessee game for the women when the rafters opened up, or they pulled the curtains up at Beard Eves. And that being just like a wow, women's basketball has arrived again since the Joe Champy eras that this is happening. So
that was senior Dewana Bonner's senior year with Coach Nell Fortner.
I was there.
And you want to take a guess at what the final record for that team was?
I think they lost 2 games in the regular season. What's the final record?
They lost 4 total.
Okay.
They were 31-4.
So they lost
they got
3
beat
in the
by
regular
Vanderbilt
season.
twice toward the end, and then it lost to Rutgers, I think, in the year. I don't remember what round, but So hey, I'm not saying we're going 31-4, but great start for Coach Vickers. If you're in our Conquer Club, I've hyped them up a good bit. I've just been really attuned to watching how this team's doing. I really like Coach Vickers and his staff so far. I think he's a very intense coach. And is one who is pushes the girls. They have some shooters. They absolutely have some shooters. And today tested them a little bit more defensively. And things kind of fell apart at the end. But this team is one, no one's sugarcoating anything here. That the men's team will get the headlines by the vast majority of media outlets here. We're here to remind you there's how much of the Auburn sports there is, though, and this women's basketball team would be one that would be really fun to get to latch on to, come to some games, I'm very impressed so far with how their roster looks and how their coaching staff is putting together a year. And 8-1, even though it's not 8-0, 8-1 for the first time in quite some time is a big deal and something this program has needed for a long time.
A little bit of shot of life into the program. Obviously, that happens with a new head coach, but obviously the results showing up help that as well. So great start for the women's basketball program, and that'll wrap us up with Auburn Potpourri. The big topics have arrived, Austin, and I think we all saw the tea leaves developing over the last several weeks and leading to this week with John Cohen saying that he wanted the Auburn football future to be decided shortly after the Iron Bowl, and he was 100% correct when he said that and his assumptions of what would happen. And boy, did it. Let's just be honest. I think this coaching search from the outside looking in looked pretty hectic at times, or at least interesting with some twists and turns. My assumption, though, that I don't know that it was as wild as some people think about it, but we'll get to that. The news today, as we're doing our show, and it was actually earlier in the day, way early in the morning, or 10 o'clock, I think is around about the time it was. Your 33rd head football coach for Auburn football, Alex Golesh of South Florida, has decided to come here to the Plains as an offensive mind. That's an important thing for people kind of knowing where he stands and what his expertise is, to come here, right the ship, figure out what needs to be retained, what needs to be completely anew for the new era of Auburn football. But wrapped up pretty quickly here once the opportunity came when the regular season was all wrapped up. One of the things that was so fascinating watching people online is somehow panicking that Auburn was missing out. I was like, you do realize these things aren't going to start transpiring until the actual regular season is not. Now that it is, did you watch the carousel today? So we don't even have to talk about some of the other shenanigans that thankfully we're not a part of this time, like with certain names like last time. But I want to hear from you. You heard today, Alex Golesh is your new head coach. What you got? What's your overarching takes on this?
Yeah, I think you're right. I think a lot of people thought that, just because things weren't as quite as public as they have been in past coaching searches, that Auburn was either not doing their due diligence or dragging their feet or whatnot. I think and let's just be fully transparent here. I've given you percentages for the past 3 weeks, and we have not put 1 percentage point on Alex Golesh in any of those conversations. So to the point that it was quiet doesn't necessarily mean things were slow. I think that John Cohen did a really good thing by making sure that what he wanted out there was out there, and what he didn't want was not, as far as leaks or whatnot. And everybody knows this, but you got to remember how many people that just because things come out there doesn't mean they're not from a certain source, and they're not from a certain source for a certain reason. Yeah, we are all very familiar with the agents and how they make a living. And sometimes the things we hear are not always what's actually happening. Sometimes the things we don't hear are not what's actually happening or are what's actually happening. From what I understand, obviously there was the talk of John Summerall. I think that was a real possibility for so long. And things shifted for whatever reason. That, like I said, there's a lot out there that could or could not be true. It's your choice to determine what you think is accurate. The reality is we might never know. But for whatever reason, the talk shifted. And obviously now we know as of today, John Summerall has taken another opportunity. And I think a lot of people, for lack of a better term and for no reason at all, began panicking that Auburn was left with nothing but to promote DJ Durkin, which I ascertained would not have been a bad thing. However, John Cohen, who did his job as the athletic director, had many bases covered. And from what I understand, somewhere in the middle of the night, early morning, 1 or 2 a.m., talked with Alex Golesh again and gave him the opportunity and the offer to be the head coach at Auburn. And he took that offer rather quickly, and was certainly up in the running for other jobs around the country. He's one of those, just like John Summerall, that was has been talked about all year. Is he the one that's going to jump ship to one of these bigger jobs? Auburn is where he lands. And I think a lot of people were surprised when it came out, just because, as I admitted to you all, we did not talk about him that much. He was certainly on certain hot boards. He was certainly on some people's lists, but we did not talk about him as a front runner for a long time. And I think that is exactly what John Cohen would have been happy with. So Alex Golesh is your 33rd head coach at Auburn. I have not watched. I think Auburn football just put out some videos of him from his first day.
They've been putting out stuff this entire time, like while we've been doing the show, we're missing out on them. But
so I have not watched or listened to any of that. I've heard some things about how his meetings went, but I think that it's certainly an exciting hire, in my opinion. I think that it's something that is fresh. It's a young guy who's new. Certainly has. I've seen people relate it to Harsin, and I think they're more relating it because of how out of the blue it is.
Yeah.
But I just completely disagree with that notion. I think that he has SEC ties. He's from the South. As far as he's worked in the South. And I don't get that vibe at all, that there's a disconnect that would have to be like there was for Coach Harsin.
I'm glad you brought that up, because I made, on our reaction show today, I did make a statement. I said, this had elements of the Brian Harsin to it, but not in the same way.
Correct.
My reaction when Brian Harsin was at, it was like, really? That is where we're going? This was a name that was brought up amongst circles early when the job opened up, that as a possibility, because of those reasons you brought up, but because of what people perceived as certain pecking orders, it did not seem as likely of an option. Well, when that things start transpiring, whatever the true story is and all of that, this became more of a possibility. And obviously that's where that surprise element comes up, and I think this is important. You brought this up. So many Auburn fans, and I do this too, so don't specifically hear me saying that I'm some like holier than thou person, like I've got everything figured out. No, that we have to be so careful the things that who we let speak into us, and the things that we believe. We can go really philosophical and spiritual with this, but we need to be careful I heard these things. I read these things. My friend's sister told me this, who knows somebody in the athlete. We got to be so wise and use critical thinking when we're making these assumptions. And sometimes everything can look like it's pointing a certain way, John Summerall. And then all of a sudden, here you are this morning when things finally got all figured out. And maybe, just maybe, your opinion of how John Cohen may have been botching this may have been how he had lined things up so nothing would be botched. So even like people are asserting that this is the second choice, and that might be true, but if your first choice says no, then you got to have the one ready to go. So I don't care if it was the first, second choice. This is the new head coach of Auburn football, 33, deserves our support, and it deserves the opportunity to prove with some patience, folks, to get things finally correctly righted in the right direction for Auburn football. That's what I hope and wish is for him. And there's always excitement with a new head coach. So what I'd like us to do, Austin, I think this will tackle a lot of different elements of what people want us to discuss here. What makes this a good hire? What makes this a bad hire? And then maybe at the end, we'll discuss if you want to grade it. We did this in our initial live stream, or a scale of things based off what we think we currently know. I asked you, let's do the good first. We will talk about the bad, like what the perceived bad, or what would make this a bad hire. What in your mind makes this a good hire? If I had to go to the number one for Auburn hiring Alex Golesh, I'm gonna get it correctly here in a second.
Alex Golesh, yeah. For me, the number one thing is, and I'm surprised by this, that it's another offensive coach. Just being truthfully honest with you, because that would make 1, 2, 3, 4 in a row. And at some point you just feel like just the law of averages, they tend to, ebb and flow, and you switch from what maybe hasn't been working. So I think that surprises me, but I also think that that's one of the best things about it, because of these 4, Gus had success as Auburn's OC. So you can probably leave him out of that, but out of the rest of the other 3 hires, Alex Golesh has success in the SEC in its modern era, as an offensive play caller. And I think that at Tennessee, and you can go look at Auburn's already pumping it out left and right on his resume. But I think you can go look at the stats from Tennessee's offense while he's been there. And then certainly being innovative with South Florida in the transfer portal to make an offense that's off the charts this year as well.
Yeah.
So I think that, you have recent history that proves he has an offensive mentality that works in today's college football. That might sound like we've all heard this before.
Sure.
I'm not going to say guru. I'm not going to say anything like that. I just think that at this, where we're at this stage in college football, there is very recent proof of concept with Alex Golesh and his offenses. And I think that for me, it feels very timely and relative that what he's doing in this era that we're moving into and have been into in college football is it works.
Yeah. I think the good for me, the more I've read up on him and tried to critically think about this, depending how staffing shakes out, where's your strength come in recruiting? And I think you can see some of that for him. He has been a recruiting coordinator at a bunch of different places in different regions as well. He's recruited the Southeast, and even though it's been South Florida, it's still part of the Southeast. So you got to have some ties down there. And folks, the big three states, Alabama, Georgia, and Florida, is where Auburn pulls the majority of its recruits from. Florida's a big one, and you don't realize how important that state is to the success of an Auburn recruiting. So you're going to have ties with him being at USF and USC down there. He's got ties up into the Midwest. So always you concentrate on those three states and the rest of the Southeast, but you've got to have some of these that you can pull from. That's why Auburn pulled a pipeline from Maryland recently, pulled a lot from Mississippi, even though it's the Southeast. It's not a traditional one because of connections they had. So I like what I see on his resume of how much he's been trusted with recruiting. So whether he's going to, your head coach is always your point person in that, but you're going to have recruiting coordinators, things like that. I think that's a big win. In the SEC, you have got to be able to recruit well, not just about stars, the right people at the right time and put them in the right position. You saw some of that happen under Hugh, just not the results didn't come out on the field as a team. For an individuals, yes, but not on the team. So maybe he can put the whole thing together. So that would be like the big good for me there. Let's maybe like one bad each if there is. And I'll go first so I don't put you on the spot if you don't have your bad read or not. I have a concern that was raised to me by a friend of ours that I think is fair because you and I have, I think, both agreed Auburn in general, Auburn sports, Auburn football is best in the hands of people that either know it, love it, understand what it's about, like the values, the mentality, the family aspect of it. Does that mean you have to have been connected already to Auburn? Not necessarily. But there's a difference than saying you understand it, Brian Harsin, and knowing it, and really appreciating what it is. What I have a concern is do you have those ties elsewhere that could draw you away from Auburn? Auburn is not a stepping stone to another program. Ole Miss.
That's correct.
It is a destination. And so my fear for Alex Golesh is he is a Ohio State grad. He is an Ohio State. He was an graduate assistant there. I could see a world as if he is a bright mind, does some great things at Auburn, say Ryan Day leaves one day, we could be in a scenario where that's one of those programs that could potentially draw him away and create this mentality that Auburn can be used as a stepping stone. So if I had to have a bad, and I hate saying bad, but just like a negative to this hire, that's where I fall. If you have one or any thoughts on that, please share.
I think that's fair. I do think that while I totally agree with you, and you can go back through history and you cannot find an Auburn head coach who has left for another head coaching job at its level. Like it hasn't happened unless they've been removed.
Different eras, there were some moving around, but that's different time, different places.
Correct. But to that point, I think that we all recognize Ohio State might be with a very select few other schools in that upper echelon that it could be moved from. And especially if you're a graduate and there's alma mater ties that transcend football, you can understand that. My hope, and I hope that Coach Golesh's hope as well, is that he was able to do the things he sets out to do at Auburn, where it would and falls in love with that Auburn that he's soon to find out that it makes it hard for him to leave. But I think that's a valid concern. I think my only concern would be, and it would be the same for John Sumrall, or is there's only been a few years of head coaching experience, and it was at a lower level in the group of 5, group of 6, whatever. I think that's fine. That's totally understandable. But I think you can also recognize and be reasonable that at this point where Auburn football is, that, and I don't doubt that there were attempts taken, but that go poaching another Power 5 head coach at the point where Auburn football is and where we are in college football right now was as certainly affordable, but also as understandable. And I think that's the athletic department and John Cohen and the board of trustees and whoever else is, I know John Cohen was the search committee, but whoever else was on the staff of interviews to ascertain. So that would be my only concern, is it's a young head coaching experience resume, but certainly been successful so far and has beat teams that certainly would have liked to have him. So I'm excited for to kind of see as he grows, we might grow with him.
Right. And I think if you kind of pare this down into the fine points of facts, not speculation, not who he's going to bring in, all that kind of stuff, just the hire in and of itself, sitting on what we can simply ascertain at this point. You're talking about his history of recruiting in various places, but definitely ties to the South. He has a good pedigree of creating not just quarterback development, but offenses as well at Tennessee. Certainly what he did at UCF, turning UCF and USF, that's going to get confusing, to bring USF specifically back from disaster as well. So there's some good there. There's some maybe just questions, even if you don't see that as bad things there. Where would you sit on ranking this hire right now, based off what you on a scale of 1 to 10? We did this on our reaction stream, and I think it was a good exercise. And I want to say what kind of the consensus was. What would you put just right now?
You know, I'm not going to say 10 because I don't, that
it's not right.
It's not that's like, no, it's just
that's like Shook Jordan coming back to life, and we get that.
Yes, that's like pulling. I don't know. Ryan Day's the reigning national champion.
Sure.
Coach,
Okay.
And that's like pulling the best of the best at the moment. So, but I do think it's positive, and I think it's what Auburn needs at this moment. And I think we're about to get into this, but I really look forward to seeing how the staff shakes out.
Yeah.
But I'm very positive. I'm very excited about it, honestly. And I don't mean this as something that's like maybe this was intended or this is any slight on the Auburn family, but I'm honestly, I think I was more optimistic toward it because it happened so fast and I didn't have weeks to think about it or stew on it or find all these nitpicky little things that I want to find on the internet that this mom of a player from 3 years ago's GA said about Alex Golesh. So I'm pretty excited about it. So I'm going to put it at a 7 or 8, somewhere around there.
Yeah.
Because I think it fits what Auburn needs right now. Certainly there's questions, like you said, that you can raise. But I'm excited. I'm genuinely excited to see watch these videos and see where the staff comes out and see what that kind of thing. So probably 7, 7.5, 8.
Yeah, I'll repeat what I said on the stream earlier today. I think I came in around a 6 when it was announced. Like, I'm a naturally, like, I like to look for reasons to be optimistic, but I was a very cautious optimism, and that would put you just barely on that side. I'm a 7 now, and I think that's probably the easy answer here, because we all want to be optimistic. We want to be hopeful that this is going to work out, but I do have a degree of caution, because my number one concern, and we've talked about this a lot, is I don't care who the coach is, I don't care who the quarterback is, if we don't get this offensive line fixed to consistency, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. And that's his responsibility from this point forward. But, we can get into the finer details of that. So that's kind of where we'll sit on assessing the hire. Wrapping up our conversation here, this is some conversation that when you're watching this now live, if you're listening to this later on, the replay of this, This is going to be changing fluidly here, and that's staff additions. I think there are two important points that we want to bring up in this, and anything else that we want to mention. Number one question that we're getting is DJ Durkin going to be retained? We don't know at this point. There is speculation on whether that is going to happen or not. Look, we're not going to sit here and confirm or deny that. I think you can do your own assumptions about that and see how successful and how he was a candidate for the head coaching job, a legitimate, rightful candidate for the head coaching job for Auburn. And it's probably a question of whether he wants to be there or not. Not necessarily about chances or anything about him staying, Austin, but just, I'm assuming you'd like to see Durkin stay.
Yes. The answer is yes. Look, I was very, I want to say my percentages I gave were never indicative of what I wanted to happen. It was what I believed where we were at. With that said, I was very high on if DJ Durkin got the job. It would have been totally fine with me. However, I think there's a chance where this is a chance where Auburn can be even better. I think that DJ Durkin is a heck of a coach. I do think he's a heck of a guy. But I think that he is an excellent defensive mind. For me, and this kind of gets into the discussion around, well, we shouldn't force a defensive coordinator on anybody. I totally agree with that. I don't think that's what was happening in the least bit. But I do think that. But
they heard it on the internet, Austin, so it has to be true.
Kyle, we're already at 45 minutes.
I'm sorry.
I do think that if you are a candidate and you see DJ Durkin as a defensive coordinator and you might have first right of refusal to retain him, if your answer to that is no, you better have a good backup. You better explain to me why you are not going to keep a top 3, top 5, maybe top 1 defensive coordinator in the country on your staff. Now, certainly DJ Durkin has a say in that as well, and I'm not dismissing that at all. There's no telling, and I fully believe that he has plenty of opportunities to him now if he would so choose to leave Auburn. However, I think that I do think that there's going to be an opportunity for DJ Durkin to be retained on this staff. And I'm fully believing that they've already had those conversations. We'll probably continue to have those conversations and figure out what they want to do as far as if they're able to mesh and fit well, if it's something DJ wants to continue with, if it's something Alex Golesh wants to have him as a part of. So we will find out. Certainly there's already been some staff hires we've seen out there, and we can just touch really quickly. One of those being a defensive guy. And I think that, that could give you some pause, but I think that there's conversations that Golesh and Durkin will continue to have, and maybe by the time you listen to this podcast, we will find out that information.
Yeah, and I think you have to remember too, you may see some people that you like that are currently here at Auburn, whether it's offense or defense, leave or change roles at Auburn. I think that's something to consider as well. One I do want to hit on, and these are only reports at this current time. This is not an official statement from Auburn or anything, just coming from the media out there that reputable sites. My boy's coming home.
Oh,
I'm so happy. I'm so happy today. My boy is coming home.
It's not Gus for everyone listening.
It's not Gus, but I did have a moment today where I started believing that we can have something. And no, listen, if you know me, whether you knew me before I did this stuff, if you knew me in college, there was one person in this world that I had the biggest man crush on and would do anything for. I'm not joking, folks. I'm not joking. I have fought tooth and nail one day to be able to name my son Cody Burns, or Cody, not Cody Burns, but Cody. And I would spell it differently, but
that was my question.
I love me some Cody Burns. The reports are that he is coming home to be on the staff. He is currently, well, I guess formerly, was on staff at USF with Coach Golesh, and he was apparently coming home. This is, I'll just take the personal side of it real quick. I think it's a good sign. Most coaches have done this. They try to get somebody that has that familiarity back to this place. And there's a short list of people, I think, that just instantly win people over. Cadillac was one of those at the time. I think Zach was on that. Zach Etheridge was on that at the time. I think this is about as Marcus Davis did that too, I think, but this is a big one right here, folks. So I don't care if you like it or not, if you think it's just, pandering. I love it. Give me Cody Burns right now. And I love that this seems to be a reality.
Cody Burns, certainly a former Auburn legend, as well as and was a co-OC for Alex Golesh at South Florida, has worked with him at Tennessee, was part of the Saints there for a bit. So from what I understand, he has already come home. I believe he was in building today. So
better be.
We're pretty, it's pretty exciting to hear one of your own is coming back. I'm sure Cody Burns is thrilled to be coming back home to Auburn. I can't imagine what he thought when he walked in the Waltos Football Performance Center today.
He's like, man, I wish we could have had
what is this? Yeah. But to list off other names, co-offensive coordinator Cody Burns, co-offensive coordinator Joel Gordon, offensive line coach Tyler Hudnick, and strength and conditioning coach George Coritas, and then a defensive back coach DeMarcus Van Dyke, all look to be like they're going to be Alex Golesh's first Auburn staff. So certainly big names to add and see who gets filled out the rest of the way. And I'm sure we'll get more clarity in that probably even tomorrow, which is a good time to bring it up that the press conference is tomorrow. Tiger Walk for Alex Golesh and his family is tomorrow. Love that little piece Auburn's doing to welcome him in officially. Yep. I don't have the times in front of me, Kyle. I think about 11:45 is when they said.
Yeah.
But a little bit of a whole festive day tomorrow for introductory press conference.
Exciting stuff right there. So a little bit of a preview and just analysis of your 33rd head football coach, Alex Golesh.
Welcome.
Welcome. We're not done talking about you
the
yet.
Golesh Gulag is here.
Yeah, you almost made it the entire segment with that one of those kind of references.
We'll have to get into that story later soon. It is fascinating. A very American dream story, it sounds like.
Yeah, I think let's put a pin in that. Let's talk about that on a future episode, especially when we maybe need a little bit of something special to talk about. So there you have it. Welcome, 33rd head football coach, Alex Golesh of Auburn football. With what time we have left, and try to do this some justice as well, some other big stuff happened this week, and that is continuation of Auburn's 2025-26 season, and it happened, the Players Era Tournament. Wow, what a field it was. An amazing, just you thought the Maui Invitational last year was amazing. I still think that was the best one that ever happened. I know I'm a little bit biased because Auburn won it, but hey, Players Era Tournament, Showcase, whatever it's called, Festival, I think is the official title. Auburn was a part of it with some of the biggest names in college basketball, either annually or just of recency. Alabama was there. You had Creighton was there, I believe, if I'm not mistaken. You had Michigan, you had Oregon, you had St. John's. Auburn got the opportunity to play, we knew to start with, Oregon, Michigan, and then eventually St. John's as they go 2-1 in the tournament. Just as a quick summary of everything, Auburn basketball first played Oregon, won 84-73, and then game 2 ran into an absolute juggernaut of sorts in Michigan and just got annihilated, but not as bad as some, 102-72. And then bounced back in a big way to upset 14th ranked, them being at number 21, St. John's, 85-74, getting the Rick Pitino win, and something that Coach Bruce Pearl talked about, he never beat Rick Pitino. So that's your summary. I think there's some big stories out of that we want to address and talk about a little bit. But what's your initial thoughts and comments that you have about Auburn in the Players Era Tournament?
Yeah. Overall, I think outside, you take out the numbers about it, I think Auburn is happy with 2-1. I think we said that, right? I think you and I both predicted 2-1. Auburn would win one of the first two, win the third one. That's exactly what happened. Auburn played a really good Oregon team, a very well-coached Oregon team, fought back and forth really the whole way, right? Yep. And came out on the top. Like you said, just an absolute juggernaut in Michigan. What was the score? Remind me really quick. What was the difference?
30, like 30 points.
So 30. That was the smallest of their point differentials for the tournament, by the way.
Yeah.
And they played Gonzaga in the championship.
Yeah.
So AP poll comes out tomorrow. I'm going to say top 3. I think they're really good. I don't know if they're that good, but I think that there's always some overreaction in the AP poll. Sure. And then you throw St. John's game, which Auburn's coming after. And that was another big part of this. These are 24 hours apart, but Auburn's coming off of getting just handed it to them by Michigan. And you're wondering how they respond, get down early against a great St. John's team and storm all the way back. To me, that game was the most important. That game showed against a top 15 opponent, and you got it absolutely smacked around the night before, and you bounced back in that way. To me, that game told me all I need to know about this team. They're not going back down. They're not going to stop fighting. But 3 absolutely great opponents and 2 wins out of it. And certainly you learn something about yourself in the loss. I don't think now, obviously you want to know, you want to know
well.
in this economy. Anyway, whoa.
You and I got the same notification at the same time. Has nothing to do with this, folks. We're fine.
Whoa. What was I saying?
You were talking about the importance of the St. John's game and
just
the bounce back.
Like, yes, I think obviously we'd all want 3 wins. We all want the money at the end of this and whatever. But for them to be able to go and fight like that and come back ready and having learned a lot about themselves, and now with the gauntlet of a schedule they have coming up, it couldn't have worked out any better.
Yeah, I was so proud of the team about the St. John's win. It's just when you beat a name like Rick Pitino, that is just big enough in of itself. It feels like another one of those benchmarks we talked about. Bruce Pearl at the time was running out of things that he could kind of the bad streaks or the names that have never been beaten by Auburn, these locations that they never won. This is one that Bruce never did. And so not that he got that many opportunities at Auburn to face Rick Pitino, but that's just a good benchmark for his son taking over this team and, calls of nepotism, things like that. Can't do these things. You beat Rick Pitino.
And think about all the coaches he's played so far.
Right.
I mean, with Kelvin Sampson, Dana
down
Altman,
to the wire with that coach.
Yes, Dana Altman in Oregon, who's been to Final Fours, been there forever. And then you throw in, I'm losing the Michigan coach's name, FAU guy.
Yeah. Oh my.
Dusty Few, who's also been to a Final Four. Who's Dusty
Mays?
Few?
Dusty May. Yeah, Mark Few. You did Gonzaga's coach. Mark.
Okay,
Few,
thank you.
Dusty May.
Dusty May. Yeah. Now I'm thinking Dusty Baker. Totally
I almost did Dusty Baker too.
Dusty Mays.
We're thrown off by that
We've
thing.
covered every sport. I am very thrown off. Dusty May, who's been to a Final Four, and with KT Harrell, by the way, on that team, and then Rick Pitino. So he's even take aside the wins and losses. He's going back and watching this tape, and this staff's getting to learn from Hall of Fame coaches and very successful coaches, and see how they excelled against them. I'm pumped for what that means for this team going forward, because he's going to continue to face coaches in Will Wade. I can blank on the Purdue coach.
Yep.
Gosh, I'm blanking on everybody.
Yeah, I know we're real thrown off today.
And Tommy Lloyd at Arizona, like fantastic coaches. So I'm very pleased with what this team did and how it sets them up to learn throughout the rest of the season from taking punches early but dishing them back out.
Yeah, I love the response. I walk away from that Michigan game just knowing we just watched one of the best, if not the best, in college basketball right now. And I don't say that just to make things easier on the loss, but you saw the results of it. I enjoyed the heck out of this tournament, and I want to be a part of it in the future, whether Auburn is, at a higher point or lower point or whatever. This is the best basketball in non-conference tournaments that's being played right now. So it was so much fun to witness in general, but just for Auburn to be a part of it and have the success as well. At the last little bit I want to talk about in the Players Era tournament, and it's probably the biggest, for me at least, storyline out of this. Coming into this game, for the most part, there was still the question, what's wrong with Tahad Pettiford? Why is he not doing the things that fans expect him to do? Now, to be fair, he built this own narrative for himself, right? Like, he had the success and people came to expect, this is your team. You're supposed to be the points leader. Well, when you get a guy like Keyshawn Hall, you're going to have somebody competing with you for the number one spot every night for points and things like that. And he's proven that. But everybody goes through slumps. Some people were calling it a sophomore slump. I thought that was too premature. I did love the joke that I saw someone make on Twitter, X, whatever, that can we just convince Tahad that every game is either an away game or neutral site because the man loves to be in the big moments, especially in the more difficult moments, and he comes out and performs. He was the star the entire, at least for Auburn. I think every night was the leading scorer, even in the very bad game
Correct.
versus
Yeah.
Michigan. Tahad showed up and showed out. And so don't remember this, folks. I think you still got to give Keyshawn Hall his flowers, and he's going to be competing with Tahad for that scoring title every single
Was
game.
not fully healthy either.
Exactly. So, but give the flowers also to Tahad for showing up when your leader, your de facto leader at the very least, because the only one left from last year is still here. He did a great job.
Yeah, and I think TNT asked him after the Oregon game, why not in this way. It was better phrased by a better journalist, but why do you not play well at Neville Arena? Essentially, he was like, I don't know. He was like, I do not know. He's like, I love our fans and I want to perform for them, and I'm hoping I can get it right so they see it too in person. Yep. But he just has the big game about him, and for whatever reason he plays with an edge against the bigger opponents, and I don't think he's playing down to other opponents. It's just something's not clicking as well for him at home. So, but hopefully this gives him a lot of confidence. There's big games coming up, and some of them are in Neville Arena. So there'll be chances. But man, that it was good, I think, for Tahad, certainly, but good for the Auburn family to see him bounce back and be what we all knew he could be.
Could I be honest? I'm okay if this is what he wants to do. Show up on the away games because we got other people taking care of business at home. I'm fine with this
on the road is going to be hard. And look, they don't play tournament games at home.
Right.
They know what would happen if that happened.
Right. But I mean, just encouraging for Tahad. I know it makes the fans feel a little bit easier. So when you're panicking about these things on social media, just realize how silly this is sometimes. Just let them get it worked out. Tahad was going to figure it out. Now, I'm not saying it'll get better at home. Like I said, I'm fine with it. We got to have your leaders show up when you're needed most, and we needed him the most with Keyshawn Hall, not 100%. Tahad showed up, showed out. Very proud of how he performed in the Players Era tournament.
Absolutely.
That'll do it for a jam-packed episode 152 for so many things in there for the Auburn Experience podcast. If you want to keep up with me, please do that on social media. I'm somewhere kind of on X, but hit us up on E2C Network, direct messages, email at e2cnetwork.com. Where can they find you?
Yeah, at Austin G. Scott on Instagram, on Twitter. Hope everybody had a happy Thanksgiving, and we are now in Advent season, and I hope that is something that you can all celebrate. And as always, if you have any questions about anything like that, please reach out to us.
Absolutely. Well said, sir. Always good to talk to you, even when we're in the middle of yet another transition period for Auburn football. But we'll work it out. Episode 152 in the can. As we go, I want to remind you, the Auburn Creed asks you to do these things. Do justly, love mercy, and walk humbly with God. We ask you to do the same. War Eagle.
War Eagle.
All right, folks. For those of you, we got a couple of new people in here, I think, or at least not regulars. So
I'm hanging for a little bit.
You want to hang? Okay.
Yeah, I'll hang for just a little bit.
He caught me before my thing. So apparently, there's a video posted. For those of you who don't know, we typically just hang out for a little bit. I don't know of a way to pull that up here in my current setup.
We haven't watched it, Brian. It happened. I think I looked. It was the exact tweet after we went live.
Right. Literally, this is what happens if you come to the Auburn Experience. Or if you just come to E2C Network, we go live, things happen.
You're lucky they made the hire today and not tomorrow, because that's what I thought was going to happen. I thought we were going to be out in the cold.
Yes. And I in fact, just to pull the curtain back, I had planned to ask Austin, let's go ahead. You hop back on in a recording aspect, not on live, and let's do quick 5-minute, just reactions to each of the options. So I have something to go off of this week. We didn't have to do that because we got to talk about it here today.
You.
So I'm so sorry, Brian. We weren't able to do that. Do that right now. I will go watch it.
I'll be watching as soon as we leave. Yes.
Want to give a shout out to Brandon for first time watching. Good analysis, he says. That's very kind of you to say so, sir. So we very much appreciate it. Apparently in the video, he confirms that at 1 a.m. in the morning he was home.
There you go.
So there's a little bit of exact confirmation there. Questions from WT. Has any school replaced their football and basketball coach in the span of a few months before someone claims Florida has done it?
That sounds right.
Sounds about. They also
How about
won a
men's,
national
women's,
title.
and football?
How about basketball men's basketball, football, and baseball in the same year. The big three. That would be
Oh,
wild.
that'd be wild. That'd be like your AD, your booty is on the line.
Yeah, I'd say you're probably fired at that point.
Yeah, unless
just
they're
gonna-
all leaving for bigger jobs.
Yes. And then Brandon earlier asked, I think we answered this. It would be smart to retain Coach Sturkin. Do you believe this is possible?
It'd be very wise. Yes.
I think we believe that. We don't make the decisions. But there you go. All right. Any
Correct.
last minute questions, comments? Let me do this, and then Austin can have some final words as well if he has any for you guys. But just as a reminder for those of you that are new, we usually on Sunday nights after we record, I leave some space, whether Austin's here or not, just to interact and do a little bit of a Q&A. I don't have any cue cards ready for you because, football season's kind of winding down now, so I've got to get my new schedule of things going. But this week, got a little bit of a challenge again on Wednesday. With basketball once again being on a Wednesday in the middle of our Auburn Family Night. We're going to have a conflict there. The rule of thumb on that is going to be if there's a conflict, we will defer to not doing Auburn Family Night, which is our call-in show, and we will just do the post-game stream after the game. Let's be honest, y'all are going to be paying attention to that, not me anyway. So we'll defer to that. So that'll be the plan, and then we'll be back again next Sunday, unless we have some schedule conflicts for episode 153 of the Auburn Experience. So that is your schedule. Oh, Saturday as well, we'll have another post-game stream. And I guess I need to ask Austin what's going on now.
Nothing. I'm just the people are just funny, man.
You talking about the chat?
No, I was reading some of the comments under some of these posts, but we
Wait, under which on our post?
On Auburn, no, under the pictures of him meeting the team, which feel very pointed at them posting who he's talking to. It's all the people that we hope to see in an Auburn uniform again. Somebody said we traded in the freeze warning for the Cold War. For those of you that don't know, he was born in Moscow, and like Kyle said, I'm not going to spoil this because it's widely talked about, but we'll get into his story later. But man, WT.
Can I?
But man, it's the memes are about to be insane, and it's so good. It is really funny.
I'll be honest. I'm going to be a Debbie down here. I'm kind of put out with like all of the obsession of we found the thing we're all going to make the meme about. But I'm going to be honest, the whole Cold War thing.
That's good, man.
That's good stuff right there, man. I'm not.
There's there's more to this than just like the freeze warning, and like not like it was played out for one, but like. There's a lot of directions to go in this, it's funny.
Yeah, it's some good stuff, man, out there. So exciting times. Obviously, we wish we didn't have to be here, and it didn't have to be this way.
Certainly,
but 5 years into what I predicted. Yeah. Anyway, we got happy times right now. So certainly, I for one am just glad that we are now in a time period where if you're someone that's just going to be negative, you're going to reveal that you're just a negative person at this point. There is no reason at this current time to be negative. You absolutely may think this is the wrong hire, and that's fine, but that's not facts. That's feelings. And sometimes your feelings don't matter.
That's right.
I'm just going to be honest with this right now.
Did see, Corey said Charlie Weiss is available now. I would not believe that. Also,
I thought he got on the plane with Lane.
He got on the plane. What are you talking about? A cluster.
Wow.
He got he got on the plane. I think this is what here. I'll go right here while we're not recording. I'm going to say Charlie Weiss succeeds Alex Golesh at USF. I'm going to say he interviews for that job and becomes the head guy there. If I remember correctly, he was the runner-up to Coach Golesh to get that job the first time around. So I'm going to say that maybe they worked that out again. So I don't think it's really matter if he got on the plane or not. But folks, as I've said on before, if you believe anything that anyone says about how Auburn's dysfunctional and you have not watched what's going on in our sister states here, just Google it.
That's stupid.
Let me see. WTS bigger man crush than Jalen Williams for you with Cody Burns. I'm going to say yes.
Yes. Yeah. I love Jalen Williams to death. And I'd probably put him, he's in top 5 category, maybe top 3. Cody Burns, that's it for me. Like that man can do no wrong I shouldn't say that. In things that don't truly matter, he can do no wrong in my eyes. For the longest time, my screensaver is the picture of him walking out of the tunnel after the championship.
Yeah, with the confetti.
Up, but confetti. So much going on in this photo. It's about him, sacrificing, obviously, but having the rewards from being sacrificial for his team. Being rewarded for that. He's pointing up, and in the middle of his pointing up is the AU symbol, not knowing that, I'm sure, but he's obviously pointing up to God. So much going on that I just love in that photo. And it's to me, Daniel Moore? Daniel Moore could not capture any moment. Like, he couldn't even do justice to that if he tried to paint that photo, because it is just, it's chef's kiss, just the Auburn experience in one word. I love you, Cody Burns. I'm sorry that you're back in the place where there's going to be an odd man crushing on you the entire time, but here we are.
Here we are. The thing, and if anyone's curious, the thing that threw Kyle and I for a loop, Kentucky has decided to fire Mark Stoops.
They must have somebody that they're ready to go.
There's no way.
You don't think so? You can't be that stupid to enter this fray right now.
You can be. One, they're going to pay the buyout, which is, if I remember right, something in the 30s. And they let their golden boy get hired today by their conference rival. How stupid can you be? It was not working. It didn't work last year. Heck, we beat you last year.
We should have beat you this year.
And well,
that we wouldn't be here. Sorry, we less likely that we would be.
Maybe
here.
he'd had already been fired. Yeah, I mean, that is gonna just the dumbest thing I can think of. I don't know who they go get. I have no idea.
Somebody wants a prediction before we leave. Who would you be a surprise?
Corey, I don't even know who's signing on Wednesday. Like, who's supposed to sign? I think you'll get a couple of receivers flipped because of this hire today. I think it's not that it matters, because it doesn't, but there's some lower rated guys. I think that that'll help you out. I'll be totally transparent with you, Corey. I don't care much about high school recruiting anymore. Just because of not even that I don't like follow it. I mean, I follow it because I talk to you all weekly, but it just doesn't. I don't think it's as much of a priority anymore in this day and age of college football. I'm very much more at this point interested in if I can see number 9 and number 8 playing Auburn uniform again.
I think that's I just am waiting for what's the next thing that Auburn social media is just going to go into a tizzy about, and that's the shoe.
Yeah, right now it's pretty good, but we're waiting on Durkin and we're waiting on that.
I don't even know that the Durkin departure, if that happened, would cause that. I think the other one would, but
well, yeah.
There's some things sitting out there that I think Auburn fans would just be overjoyed if they just get figured out, but we'll wait and see on that. Okay, I think we've covered it. I know I have duties to attend to, and so does Austin. But thank you all for hanging out with us for episode 152. We appreciate it. We do this every Wednesday. I do it every Wednesday. Every Sunday we do this particular show. So just to make sure you're hitting that subscribe button and hanging out with us every single Sunday night. Austin, final thoughts before you get into trouble with whatever else you're looking at?
I'm just looking at memes, man. The gulag.
I will get on. I don't want to be a Debbie Downer about it. I just like everybody just so quick to jump on the easy things. Can we be a little bit more? I will get on board for it.
Look at this.
It's good. It's good. I know.
That's Johnny Knox for credit reasons, but golly, that's funny.
I am so just, I'm so tired right now for a variety of reasons. So my funny bone's just a little bit less. I'll get on board.
Fair enough. It's hilarious. No, I got nothing else, man. Hope everybody has a great week. Happy December. Merry Christmas. And War Eagle.
It is the Christmas season. I didn't talk about it on this stream, but I will next time.
I know.
Thanks for being here and hanging out with us one more time. The Auburn Creed asks you to do these things: do justly, love mercy, and walk humbly with God. We ask you to do the same. War Eagle.
War Eagle.